Derivatives trading involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results.
So stressful when the world's on fire. Good God. I can't look at this, guys. Like, my strategy is you buy it and you hope that you gotta get spot. Yeah, but we all think you're crazy. You don't fight this. No way. The markets are freaking out and you don't think that anything is wrong? Come back tomorrow and I'll lose it all. Should be fun.
Good morning, everybody. Oh my gosh, you know what? I'm already making mistakes. I did not remember to bring the music up. Let's bring the music up. Gotta have some tunes. All right, to the charts here. Oh, and I need to turn on because I can't hear the music. You can hear it, but I can't hear it. There we go. All right, so to the charts here. So if you'll remember, this big down move here on Thursday was the CPI. They recovered quite a bit of that, but did not really react as much on Friday. And now here in the overnight session, we are quite a bit lower, although they are buying on the open, and I still have a lot of data suggesting that the balance of flows is probably tilted to the upside. All right. We still have Gaza is still a big headline, and there's stuff happening there we can talk about later. S&P 500 slightly higher than they were on Friday. Oil is spiking this morning. Gold and silver as well. So I think that suggests that the flight to safety because of geopolitical volatility is a major factor in the markets this morning. Copper still kind of languishing. It's like China is just like all of a sudden a non-factor. Okay, finally. For some reason, you know, the taskbar down at the bottom has been covering over the chart, but it's not doing it now, so that's cool. Okay, so Bitcoin having a little bit of a pump overnight, and the dollar, well, the dollar is still relatively strong, just slightly above 106. So that's where we're at. Okay, so first thing I gotta do before I can get into anything is it looks like when my machine, I restarted over the weekend and it probably switched the order of the monitors or whatever. So Jigsaw thought it needed to open everything up on the other monitors. So we gotta fix that. And that one. There we go. This isn't too bad. Because of Aqua Snap, not having too much trouble. Do seem to be missing some DOMs though. Oh, right, there's ZB. I do seem to be missing some still though. Here's one. There we go. Last one. Yeah. Kind of funny that some of the windows still show up under the taskbar right here, even though They show up under the taskbar for this screen, even though they're on that screen. Some of them are on the taskbar on that screen. How do you get it's not Jigsaw. I leave it on most of the time, yes. So I have this really neat program here called Aquasnap. I think it's like a $5 to $10 application. And basically what it does... Oh, I'm sorry. We're getting some financial news here, aren't we? Pay attention, Seth. New York Fed manufacturing negative 4.6 versus an expected negative 6. So a little bit better than anticipated. Market is reacting to it a little bit, but not too bad. Anyways, Aquasnap does things like if you get to the edge of the screen, it kind of snaps to the side. Or it will like snap to other windows. And another thing is when you notice how when I'm dragging the window around, it becomes a little bit transparent. That's another thing that Aquasnap does. It will also help you snap when you're resizing windows. Super helpful. The only problem with it is that it doesn't work on the NinjaTrader windows. NinjaTrader uses a different type of window that is not using the Windows SDK, whatever. And so it doesn't it doesn't recognize those windows that it can snap. Your edge clear is frozen? It's weird. Wait, who's your data provider for edge clear? Oh, it's updating. Okay, so what else we got going on here? Took care of that. Took care of that. You're okay. All right. Oh, Jiwi. By the way, good morning, Octavius and Dom Dom. That reminds me. I have this other application called Epic Pen. And I really like it, but there's like, they made a change that like screws it up. And I miss it. I miss it so. They're pushing up. It kind of looks like they're now ignoring whatever happened with New York Fed manufacturing and are just pushing towards the upside. Anyways, so let's pull that up and about 312.25. Oh, look. Okay. Maybe we have a new version. Let's try it. We start placing bets on how long it will take to select Speaker of the House? Yeah. Well, supposedly it's supposed to happen today, but you know what? I was both surprised that they went ahead and chose Steve Scalise, and then I was surprised that he was like rejected. So my issue with Steve Scalise was that he has blood cancer. I was kind of like, is that really the best? Is that really the best option at the moment? Okay, but I don't know if Jim Jordan can do it either. Like, because Jim Jordan is pretty... He's pretty far right. And I can't think of anything that he's done or said that I would say, like, I disagree with. But there's definitely going to be, like, moderates that are going to be, like, concerned that he is, like, he'll be crazy. You know what I mean? So, I don't know what's going to happen. If I had my pick, I would choose Chip Roy. I'm like, why isn't Chip running? He seems to be the smartest guy in the room to me, but whatever. And I am hearing whispers that some Republicans might switch over and you'll have a Democrat leader of the House, even though the Democrats are in the minority. Like, they're talking about that, doing something, pulling something like that. Could happen. Who would be entertaining? Jim Jordan or Chip Roy? I don't know. I don't feel like that Chip Roy is really like a Chip. Yeah. I mean, he does put up a fight, but I feel like that Chip Roy is a guy that really cares about policy and is actually thinking things through. Whereas a lot of these guys, the thing that always bothers me is when it's clear that politicians are making decisions purely on ideological grounds. So, like, right now, why not MTG? Okay. No. So right now in the Democrat Party, you're getting the perfect limitus test. Okay. Do they recognize what's happening, realize that some of their policies and attitudes and ideas have been wrong and shift? Do they adjust to the current situation, or do they just go through with what they're programmed with? So, Miss Ocasio-Cortez, she is actually performing somewhat admirably on this test. She has not just gone along with what the other members of the squad has been doing, and she has not just gone along with the, pro-Palestine everything. She's been very concerned by some of the things that she's seen at these rallies, for instance, right? So Ocasio is actually more independently minded than we gave her credit for, I think. There are some people on the left that are just going full bore stupid. And like everybody else is looking at them like, really? Like, really? Just because it's, it's terrorists. And some of these people are like cheering on terrorists. Okay, let's see if I can fix it now. Nope, it still doesn't. It's better. It's better. But I still get, it's like it doesn't get to update as often as it wants or something. She's getting beat up by her constituents. That's probably is a factor, in all honesty. Probably is a factor. Yeah. Still doesn't work. It's better, but it still doesn't work. You're right. And this is the other thing that's interesting about it, is that It's basically, it's put the wind in the sails of neocons is what it's done. I'm not saying that I like despise neocons. I'm not trying to be derogatory towards them, but there has been a move against neocon ideology over the past, you know, in the Trump years. You know, like the Trump years, it basically is like, you know, we focused all on the neocon stuff, and that was a mistake, and we kind of let our middle class down, and we need to stop getting involved in all these wars and stuff like that, right? So that's kind of been the Donald Trump way of things. Let's call that the populist wing of the Republican Party. And now you've had the first time that I've seen, or that I can remember, where you have a political event that I would say is bad for Donald Trump and bad for Democrats, and it's good for the neocons. That's kind of weird. Will it have an actual political impact? That remains to be seen. I gotta tell you, watching Donald Trump's reaction to all of this is also a little eye-opening, in my opinion. I think it really shows how he is just not interested. He just doesn't care about the national security side of things. And because has he commented on it? He has commented on it. I don't recall seeing anything of him talking about how awful it is and how important it is for us to support Israel or anything like that. The only comments that I've seen, at least I've seen reported, is him criticizing Bibi because, you know, he didn't support him after he lost, which is like, really? Yeah, nothing will rebalance U.S. politics back behind the uniparty like an Israeli conflict. Exactly. It's exactly. Although, you know, watching it, it kind of makes me wonder if the uniparty is kind of dead on the Democrat side. I don't know. Iran threatening to enter this conflict is very serious. It could be. So here's the thing with that, is like, I would expect Iran to saber rattle. Are they really dumb enough to get involved? Like, I just can't imagine with the U.S. carrier there and them saying, you know, if you do something, don't be bad for you. I just can't imagine them stepping in there and being like, well, whatever, we're going to do it anyways. So I would expect them to saber rattle, though, you know? So it's unclear how serious it actually is. It kind of, because the thing is are they really that stupid that they would get involved? I think they probably are that stupid. Doesn't mean that I know that they'll do it or not, but I certainly wouldn't put it past them, right? Right? You know what? Things are wild, though. So, you know what I saw last night that I also thought was really interesting? Is it seems to be pulling forward a lot of things. So the Israelis have been working on a laser that would shoot down missiles. And it was like supposed to be like 2 years out from deployment. And they saw the laser getting used last night. They have these videos of this laser shooting down missiles. Isn't that crazy? World is the most dangerous in decades. Oh, for sure. I think that what's going on with the Israeli conflict is more serious than anything I've ever seen in my lifetime in regards to Israel, for sure. If Israel can afford to hold off their ground invasion, it isn't that serious. I don't want to dump assets into Gaza without a U.S. Congress united to reimburse them. Well, okay, so the thing right now is they've told people to evacuate, and Israel kind of started incursions, but they didn't do like their full-on invasion. And the reports that I got was that Joe Biden was lobbying very, very hard for them to delay things so that they could get a humanitarian refugee corridor opened in Egypt. that essentially they want to have, some refugee camp in Egypt and a safe pathway there. And so Joe Biden convinced them to hold back. You think that they're waiting for us to have a speaker? Well, that could be a factor as well, I suppose, but I haven't seen or heard anything on that front. Need a staging area for all the refugees you can get out of this. There you go. So, yeah, I'm kind of sitting here wondering, though, like, is holding off like this gonna harm Israel in the long run? Because if we hold off and then, like, that gives Iran or some other actor the opportunity to prepare and, like, screw everything up, then who's gonna get blamed? It's gonna be Joe Biden, right? Well, I've seen on refugees, I've heard people talking like, oh, the Democrats want to bring in as many refugees as they can to the U.S., but everything that I've seen kind of suggests that there's no way that's going to happen. So I wouldn't worry about that one too much yet. You want to know of any commodity index that you can look up in TradingView? Oh, you know what? There is if you're looking for an index, there is an index, but I don't remember what it's called. There is a major index that you would want to look up, though. And I would think that you would probably be able to get it in TradingView, although the data would probably be delayed. I would just go into all and search commodity index. I don't know, man. I want to balance. I mean, you're taking like the cynical approach to it, but I really think that a lot of Democrats are sitting and looking at this and having second thoughts about things. I think that a lot of Democrats are saying, you know what? Maybe it was really dumb to try and import mass numbers of people that are incompatible with our culture. And especially when it comes to Gaza, because like pretty much everywhere that's imported Gazans have had problems, right? That's how you got the mess up in Syria. There's definitely a lot of the more serious-minded Democrats that are really, really questioning like their last 20 years of foreign policy. like the people that were pushing multiculturalism because it's like, quote, the good thing to do, are saying like, oh, actually, you know what? No, forced multiculturalism just causes conflict. Like the intellectual class, I'm seeing it everywhere. Who was it? Was it Kissinger, I think? I think it was Kissinger that said that last week. He said, you know what? I was wrong. Forced multiculturalism just causes conflict. Right. He's not the only one. So the thing that you're going to see, though, is that a lot of the activity online, is either A, fake. We never talk about it anymore, or at least the media never talks about it. But these, like farms and stuff that try and push Democrat talking points and things of that nature, they still exist. They're still out there. Okay. So that's the second thing. And then number two is just from like less engaged people that don't really understand or follow very well what's going on. They just want to make dramatic comments, and they don't adjust to the new situation because they don't really understand it. They're not thinking for themselves. They're just reacting based on conditioning. So yeah, you're going to see a lot of Democrats that are just going along with the conditioning. But that's where I kind of look at, like, when you see individual Democrats that are relatively influential, like I wouldn't call Kissinger a Democrat, but let's say proponents of multiculturalism. People in Europe saying this, like in Sweden, the political winds have changed, and now the party that's being elected in is basically anti-immigration and is trying to clean up that mess. Ocasio-Cortez is like concerned about the anti-Semitism. There is a shift happening. How extreme? How much of a shift? Is it enough to turn the tides? That remains to be seen. But there's definitely a shift happening. Oh, I have an event at the top of the hour today. What is this? Did they set up a meeting for me today? Let me ask them. A temporary, well, every little kind of narrative change has some impact. Oh, that's right. Okay. We, at work, they are showing us some stuff. One of the other teams are. And the team lives in Poland. So I'm going to have to, watch that. So I will probably, once again, leave the stream running in the background. Totally forgot about that. But that's just a Monday thing. It's going to be like Mondays and Fridays for the next few weeks are going to be a little rough. Probably it's going to harm the trading and the channel a little bit, but it's okay. It's only a temporary thing. Like the progressive left jumping behind Hamas is only a surprise. Oh yeah, for sure. For sure. Well, like, I would expect them to quote unquote support Hamas. Okay, but like to actually go out in the streets and like cheer like straight up murder and like be happy about it, and the number of people that I've seen do that is shocking to me. That is really shocking to me. I've expected them to try and just downplay it and ignore it, but something that I think was kind of missed with this whole wokeness thing is that when they talk about historically disadvantaged people, we always think of it as, oh, well, okay, they're talking about Black Americans that, were slaves and so forth. I think that the primary reason that the term historically disadvantaged people came about was because of Palestine. And the wokeness was very much thinking about Palestine from the very beginning. So that's why this ends up becoming like the perfect focal point for all of US politics all of a sudden, because it was always kind of there. It was just nothing had happened for a couple of years, I also, it's also interesting that at the same time that that's going on, that the US is having pretty much outright crisis on the border. And a lot of Democrats are thinking twice about their immigration policy too. Of course not Biden. Joe Biden understands that this is just a pure cynical political play to try and improve the demographics in your favor. But all of the Democrat mayors and stuff that are getting the people that are like, actually, you know what? This is not a good thing. So once Biden is out, I have hopes that we'll get a better solution on the border. You can't spend decades bombing Arab homes and expect them to forgive you just because you let tens of millions of them live in your country. Well, this comes down to, I think, a misunderstanding behind why this conflict is happening. Yeah, because the thing that like Hassan Abi, is that the guy's name, the streamer? This was one of the things that he said that I think is just dead wrong. Is he said, well, of course something like this is going to happen, a large scale terrorist attack of this kind, because you've basically been holding these people in an open air prison for years. That's not why they did it, dude. That's not why they did it. If Gaza was like living the life of luxury and they were all extremely rich, there would still be the terrorism, because it is a core belief to these people that Islam is supposed to take over the world and everybody that won't convert needs to die. And it's absolutely like the biggest trespass that you can make against them is to turn a Muslim area non-Muslim, right? That's what's driving them, man. It's purely ideological. And so, yeah, you can be as nice to them as you want. There's still going to be terrorism. I mean, listen, the people in Saudi Arabia have it pretty good. Saudi Arabia is a pretty rich country. There's still terrorism there. It's not to say that all Muslims are like that. There are versions of Islam that are compatible with the Western world, but there is a particularly radical form that is quite widespread that is very problematic to modern society. Okay, so I've got to, let's see. But those are all things that we'll have to sort out later, right? The question still is just, you know, when does Israel move in? And the markets definitely seem to be on edge about it today, don't they? You think that it will be when they get a speaker. Okay, let's see. I guess the reason I'm a little bit skeptical about that theory is because I'm not convinced that Israel actually needs that much help. But we'll see. I think that they would only need help if sorry, I lost my train of thought. I think that they would only need help if Iran stepped in, right? So why else delay? Well, like I said, they were moving in. In fact, I've seen videos of them, you know, finding weapon caches and stuff. They did move in, and they pulled back because Joe Biden asked them to in order to get time to create a humanitarian corridor. That we know has happened. That's what's been reported. So I mean, if the argument is, well, yes, it does. You're right. A humanitarian corridor depends on Egypt, essentially, Egypt and Jordan, but we know that Joe Biden is pushing for it. That was the last major headline that I saw, was that Joe Biden was lobbying very hard for a humanitarian corridor, and that he had convinced the Israelis to scale back because they were already starting to move in over the weekend. Like they were starting to move in on Friday. Does a multicultural society inherently make it near impossible to take an isolationist stance on global conflicts? You know what? I think that the standard Western stance on global politics that is anti-isolationist has a lot more to do with just the overall dynamics of the world since World War II. That after World War II, it made it really clear that the world was so interconnected that you couldn't just let some madman go crazy. That you had to stand up against it, which is what they're trying to do with Putin, for instance. If they were just waiting for a humanitarian, but they did say it. I guess I haven't seen it like an announcement from Israel, right? But that's what's been reported. They said it was cloudy weather. Oh, I hadn't seen that. Anyways, on the isolationist stance sort of a thing. Oh, actually, it's time for me to go. So I'm going to turn the camera and the voice off, but we'll still have everything going here, okay? Okay, I'm back. So we did have a pretty decent sell move while I was away. I find this move though to be a little perplexing, honestly. So if I come over here and we kind of look at the charts to be able to see it in retrospect. Okay, there was some selling in the 10-year, but not in the 5 and not in the 30-year. I did not see a strong move in the dollar really either. Can notice that the dollar kind of rose up here and then got slammed all the way back down. No real reaction from the treasuries. The Japanese yen did follow it though. So it's just treasuries and the yen moving. Another thing that I found really odd, well, I'll bring this over here, is you can see this point from like 7:30 to 8 where the treasuries were selling, where we were actually seeing buying and spiking in the KRE. So one of the thoughts was that, you know, a regional bank could be experiencing some stress and that's why they're puking, and that's why the treasuries are selling. But I don't have evidence for that. Things are looking okay for the KR regional banking ETF this morning, at least this morning. So my only guess is that Japanese currency is under pressure. But this is kind of odd. Also, they spent a lot of time down there at the bottom, didn't they? You've never seen me use TradingView? Yeah, if I want to look at stocks, I usually will bring over TradingView because I don't get the data for it over here in NinjaTrader. And I do think that TradingView is slightly better charting software. It's not as good from the perspective of like programming something, but you know, the default charting software that you get is probably the best out there. You know, another thing I'll use it for is if I want to really, really look back. Like if I want to try and look back at something that's like monthly charts going back 20 years or something like that, then I'll use TradingView, right? Anyways, order flow wise, I would say that the order flow over here has been pretty tricksy. I mean, there's been big orders all over the place. There's like not really a lot of volume between like that 09 and 12 area. Okay, they fell through that pretty quickly. When you look at how much is trading down in here, like the biggest that we got was 06. So it did move. It actually, I would say that was a larger than usual move for a Monday. But the total volume, I'd say, is on par with about what I would expect. So it could just be noise. I don't feel any, I don't feel too stressed out by like not seeing this coming, because I ultimately, I think it's probably not a huge deal. This ETF news was sure to come out empty for me, but they made a very good pump and oh yeah. Well, sorry I was away during all of that, but when I heard the headline over the news squawk and I went over and double checked my sources on Twitter, the guys on Twitter were immediately like, we don't believe this, because they're like, okay, it's coming from Cointel. They're the only one that's reporting it. This seems like it would it's being approved too quickly. There was a lot of suspicious things about it. So yeah, that's one of those ones that I'm not sure I can really explain. But as soon as I heard the headline, I was like, that's gotta be BS. There's no way. There's no way. Because number one, I just don't think that the SEC is going to approve the ETF. But then number two, like they usually wait like 6 months or something, like it's, yeah, not yet. But the other thing I'm a little bit surprised by is that, like it was pumped and dumped. It's about where it was. And I would have expected after that for Bitcoin to drop. I mean, like, I could feel that kind of manipulation just makes a Bitcoin ETF even less likely to happen. That's just me. I have been hearing stuff about the situation in Israel as well, but it doesn't sound like anything conclusive. It's just like a bunch of people saying stuff and nothing happening. So I don't know. Yeah. So my wife must just be coming back from taking the kid to school. See, and it's sitting here at 08. They at the bottom, they kind of formed like a liquidity hole of sorts. Like they started to do the, we're just going to sit there. But then there seemed to be people pushing it around. It seemed to be overly sensitive to every order, and it was moving around a lot. Now, I don't think I'm going to trade it because I only got about 15 minutes before I'm usually supposed to drop off here. But we've seen this many times where it starts selling in the morning. We're kind of not sure where that selling pressure is coming from. And then it's all up the rest of the day. So, I'm actually kind of tempted to go short rates here at 4.7. Stopped watching that's okay. I understand. It's going to be, so I don't know when the next meeting that we have like this is. We're meeting with some guys in Poland at my work, so that's why I had to get off. And then on Fridays, for the next 2 Fridays in a row, I'm doing training with Amazon Web Services. Although everything that they're showing me is stuff I already knew, so I'm sure that they're going to get to more advanced stuff that I don't know. And then I also my grandma died. I don't think that will affect the stream, but I got that going on this next weekend. I have to fly up to Canada. So it's going to be a rough week for the stream. Just to warn you. Next 2 weeks or so, I think could be a little bit rough. But then after that, things should slow back down to their usual pace. And by that point, we should probably be in the end of year rally. And it looks like that the flows for the equity markets look really positive going into the end of the year. So, yeah, it hasn't really hit me too hard because she, just lived in Canada, and so I don't see her that much. I'm sure that once I get there, it'll hurt. But so far, it doesn't feel real. You're still short-term commodities bullish, dollar bearish? Well, the dollar hasn't really been cooperating, though, has it? They are down this morning. They are ultimately down this morning. But this is, it's kind of odd because lately I've been feeling like that it's currency flows that are driving the treasuries. That everybody's just trading off of the dollar. But the last 2 or 3 sessions, I've kind of started to feel like it's the opposite. Maybe the dollar is reacting to interest rates. And what are the interest rates reacting to? I'm not sure, because that decline wasn't on that much volume. But the Japanese yen fell. So maybe it's Japan right now that's moving us. This is where, we'll always have these questions. There always be, a big open question in the market that everybody's focused on and everybody's trading off of and making their decisions off of. And I find that it's actually quite rare that big thing actually comes to a conclusion, and that's like the thing that makes some money. Usually what happens is something else comes along that just like completely changes the situation, and everybody forgets about that other thing. So, you know, I think that it hasn't affected markets too much, but from a politics perspective, this explosion of violence in Israel just, it really changes the political landscape. It really does. And we're like not even capable of really being able to understand how it will impact things in the future yet. Because it's just such a jolting change, you know? Gold and dollar were moving together? Oh, so do you mean this morning or just like overall? I do find it, I think one of the most interesting moves that we've had over the past week has been when gold and silver really found a bid from the Israel thing, right? And they haven't really given those up, right? They were getting just hammered from the interest rates, and then it seems like all of the flight to safety went into gold and not where it usually would. We were talking about that in Discord because Alligator was saying, well, you can't call it a flight to safety because that's not rates down and stocks down. And I was like, well, that's true, but it doesn't look like something that the market thinks is going to affect the S&P 500. Look at about 5 minutes. I want to come back and look at the charts a little bit. So you can see here the Treasury. There was a little bit of a run on the open, but they've sold it down, and it looks like they came right back to Friday's low. So, hold on. Gotta answer the phone here. Sorry about that. Like I said, I got a bunch of stuff going on this weekend. Got these trainings. There's training on Friday. I'm getting a colonoscopy on Thursday. Going to a funeral on Sunday. Yeah. Okay. Anyways, the chart. Okay, so the treasuries came down to the lows. They just kind of languished there, didn't really do anything. We're getting a tiny little pullback so far. Maybe they push a little bit lower later in the session. S&P 500, though, turning pretty bullish. Beating out the overnight, at least. They've still got a ways to go till they're back to, like, the 12th level. Was that Thursday? Yeah. But they're headed that way. I kind of suspect that 4,400 might pin them. So we've got a lot of gamma. Well, it's not crazy, but it is options expiration week. So if they're going to get pinned anywhere, it's probably going to be 4,400 or 4,450. And then oil, I'll look at oil here. There was a little bit of a move down in oil. And the move down in oil, I believe, was driven by a headline that I heard come over suggesting that the U.S. was going to back off on its sanctions on, I think it was Venezuelan oil. So the Biden administration is super desperate to try and keep the price of oil down. All this stuff with Israel and Iran probably ain't helping him on that one, eh? If bonds go lower, I'm ES short. I think that if the bonds, well, I don't know if I do think that the bonds could go a little bit lower, but I don't think it would be anything too crazy. But, you know, if the bonds decide to make a beeline for like 475 or something like that, then probably the equities would sell, yes. I agree. Okay. Oh, we'll give one check on zero hedge here. Hezbollah clashes escalate Egypt to open border. So it sounds like it's gonna happen. There's the pump and dump on the ETF thing. Worsening treasury liquidity, keeping fixed income volatility elevated. You know, it's not terrible, but 2Ks. I would kind of expect us to be back up to 3 right now, and we're not, huh? So, okay, guys. Well, I am going to get going. I will see you tomorrow. Tomorrow should be a clear day for us. I don't think we've got anything on the calendar here. Actually, before I say that, let me double check. I don't think I got anything on the calendar to distract me tomorrow. So, yeah, we should be good tomorrow and Wednesday. So, I will talk to you guys tomorrow. In the meantime, thanks, Walter. I appreciate that you guys care. And if I'm going to be gone, you're going to miss me. Okay. But I'll see you tomorrow. So, stay excellent, team.